My name is Timothy Allison,
Hello, my name is Lace Dixon.
and we are studying how have the ACT score changed from 2003 to 2013.
The goal of this project is to compare the average composite scores of the ACT during the year of 2003 and 2013. Timothy and I were interested in this experiment because the state law in Alabama has required for everyone graduating after 2014 to take the ACT to graduate high school instead of the graduation exam. It is important to us to compare scores from the past to now to see if there is a big difference. We collected our data from two different ACT score publications, and we plan to analyze our data through a two-sample t-test.
We constructed a two-sample t-test to find the solution to our data. There was an error when we performed the test because the value was in the millions. Our mu1 represented the average score from 2003, and the mu2 represented the average score from 2013. In 2003, the mean value was 20.8 with the standard deviation of 4.8, and in 2013, the mean value was 20.9 with a standard deviation of 5.4, I'm sorry. We found that the number of students that took the test increased each year. This may have been a major factor on why the average may be different. We began to look at the histograms of the ACT score distribution, cumulative percentage, and average for all the students for the years of 2003 to 2013. We then used the two-sample z-test formula when there was an error with the two-sample t-test, when we generated the p-value of 1.178565 to negative 62, and the p-value of negative 16.709801. Again, this test was used because we tried to use a two-sample t-test, but there was an error due to the values of the numbers being in the middle.
Our conditions, random. This experiment was not random because the test included all students nationwide for 2003 and 2013. Independent. Students who took the ACT in 2003 will not impact the mean scores for the students taking the ACT in 2013. Since the students take the ACT during their junior and senior years of high school, therefore the samples are independent in of each other and the conditions are met.
When we graphed the 2003 and 2013 distributions of data, the shape was approximate symmetry with no outliers, gaps, or cluster apparent a center around 20 through 21 for the median, which is consistent of our average for 2003 and 2013. Therefore, we can conclude that the data is approximately normal.
In our experiment, our data was received from ACT.org. We began looking at the ACT score distributions, cumulative percentages, and averages for all students from the years of 2003 and 2013. We analyzed the data and made a chart to compare the composite scores over the decade. In 2003, there were a number of 100,000,000, 1,700, 500, and 59 students, who took the test, whereas in 2013 there were
1,799,243 students that took the test. Our alpha value of 0.05 was higher than our p-value of 1.178565. Therefore, we rejected our null hypothesis that the mean score in 2003 was the same as the mean score in 2013. As a result, we had sufficient evidence to support our alternative hypothesis that the mean scores between 2003 and 2013 were different.
Okay, our conclusion. After our experiment was completed, we found that the average score was actually different. The average score for 2003 was 20.8 and the average score for 2013 was 20.9. The scores had a 0.1 difference.
To improve our experiment, we could have did an experiment on the average composite score worldwide, not only in the United States. We believe that if other countries were involved in the data we collected, then the average would have probably changed tremendously. This experiment included both male and females, but our studies didn't precisely include specific gender or grade levels.
All right. So I just have a couple of questions for y'all.
Okay.
You referred to a couple times the fact that you had a value that was in the millions that caused you to have to switch from a 2-sample t-test to a 2-sample z-test. What was that value what you were referring to? Was that like the mean? Was it the size of the sample?
The size of the sample.
Okay, so it was like your end value.
Yes.
Awesome. And I noticed there, the number that you had for your p-value, it was like the 1.17, all the numbers after it, and then E negative 62. What does the E negative 62 mean?
It means that the value was like real small, and it was so small that the numbers can fit on the calculator, which gave us the E negative 62.
So it's just a notation.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And I noticed you also talked about the fact that between 2003 and 2013, you talked about there's a mean score of 20.8 and then 20.9 for 2013, right? So that's only a difference of 0.01. So I thought it was really interesting in your research that we actually saw that we have evidence to support that those are not the same scores, even though they look so close, right? What do you think was a factor that caused those to be significantly different?
In 2005, we researched that the writing portion was added along to the ACT.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably have been a major factor in the meaning of the scores, because once the writing is added on with the test, it gives you a higher composite score because it's added in with your English test. And also, we also discovered that each year from 2003 to 2013, the number of students who took the test actually increased. So that had to have been a major factor too.
Right. So as we're increasing the size of our sample, every person that takes it, even though there's only a small increase in the averages,
Yes.
it actually causes a significant increase because you're talking about 500,000 people more between
Yes.
that decade, right? So that, I found that to be really fascinating. Now, what do you think might be one of those contributing factors to why more people are taking the ACT? I think y'all talked about one of those factors at the beginning.
One of the factors is that now, as in our PowerPoint, you have to take the ACT to graduate. You no longer could take the graduation exam. So there's one factor. And another factor is college acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get in college if you don't take the ACT unless you're going to maybe a community college or something.
And nowadays, when a college degree will be more useful than a high school diploma, you will be able to get a job with a college degree more than likely that you will get a job with a high school diploma. So most students are now going to college, so would you give them the opportunity to get a high score on the ACT to get scholarship money so that school can be paid for?
Well, I know that you can also take the SAT to get into college, right? Do you think as many people take the SAT as the ACT, or do you feel like more people take the ACT?
That has to do with which region in the country that you live in, because many people up north take the SAT, while many people in the south take the ACT.
Okay. What was one thing that you learned while doing this study that you feel like you can apply to your outside life, or that you feel like you just learned in general? And each of you answer that one.
One thing I learned is that the ACT is very important if you plan to go to college or if you plan to further your education in any kind of way. And I learned that the composite scores you have, it doesn't, I can't say it doesn't matter, but you have time to work on it, and you get different chances to make your composite score higher to improve it.
I think that I have learned that the ACT is very important, of course, because it also lets you see have you mastered the the content, what you have learned in school. So that lets you know whether you are really ready for college and whether you will have to take remedial classes in college to get you caught back up if your ACT score is very low. And the ACT is beneficial because it's not a set amount of time that you can take it. So you can learn through a process and you can increase your score.
Great.
May I add something?
Mm-hmm.
We could have improved our research by finding out if it was a certain time they let juniors and seniors take the ACT, or was it all high school? Because the test was first administered in 1959, right?
Yes.
So we could have, got information about that and included it.
That's another thing I noticed too is y'all made a recommendation that maybe you should look at grade levels. Why do you think looking at grade levels might be of statistical importance when you're analyzing mean scores on the ACT?
Because like most freshmen, when they enter high school, they don't take the test as much as the seniors do, because seniors are the ones that's basically going off to college, and you have juniors, of course, that also want to take get a chance to prepare themselves early for the test. So that probably is a main factor on why many juniors and seniors take the test
Instead of freshmen and sophomores.
Do you feel like the freshmen have the content knowledge to be able to be successful in the ACT? Like, do you think that they learned all the math skills they need, and or do you feel like you really don't get a grasp on those like math or English skills until your junior year or so?
Actually, I can't say no, because some freshmen may be smarter than others, but I feel like in a way, they're not ready, because most of the math that's on the ACT you learn your 11th grade year. So it comes from there. So.
But you also, 8th graders can also take the ACT, and some of the 8th graders that took the test actually made a great score on that test. So I wouldn't say that they not ready. I just think that most of them want to get more knowledge before they take the test.
Right. So for the larger group of the population,
Yes.
So if you're looking at a large group of students,
Yes.
for the most part, you'd want to wait till 11th grade.
Yes.
And that's when we're going to see a big change.
The 11th grade is when most students think they're really ready to take the test, because they want to get a good score, of course.
A high
Right.
score.
So in general, what did you learn in statistics this year that you in the whole class? Like, what's one thing that you learned this year that you think might benefit you going to college next year, or going out and just being a good consumer, for instance?
Statistics really helped me be able to predict things, like when I really need the information. When I'm looking at information, I can use data from previous. It helped me to do research on my stuff, and it also helped me use problem solving methods like the t-value, z-value, t-sample value, and things in that nature. That also would be beneficial to me, because statistics is used every day in your life. So I think that really helped me out.
Okay. I learned that out of the whole semester, statistics is not math. It's all logic. It has to do with a lot of numbers, but it's logic. So everything you do is based off what you think, how could you improve, and how could it be better, all logic. And that's the number one thing about statistics. It may be hard, but it's based on you.
All right. Any last minute advice to folks that might be taking this class and doing this project next year?
I think that most people who is upcoming in this class, I'm gonna tell you the mistake I made. The mistake I made is I didn't know that I was taking this class. So if you know that you're taking this class, just do research on statistics. Look up different words, and try to do problems yourself before you get into the class. That will better prepare you before you get in this class, so you'll already be caught up. Because most students at Carver, they haven't had an AP statistic course or statistics course, so it'll be good if you look on statistic websites and just study for it when you get in the class, you'll be familiar with the information.
My advice to upcoming students is come to class every day so you can understand.
On time.
Come on time as well. Come prepared to think, to use your brain, and
And also listen to Miss Cantwell, cause she gonna give you the best. Everything that she give you, she gonna have been taught. You just gotta listen and pay attention.
always keep your notes and everything. Cause at the end of the year, when you take the AP exam, all of us gonna recap of what you taught. So that's our advice. Have fun and pass the
Have a great
class.
time.
All right.